Good morning, folks. It's Mike Trent from the WPTV News Channel 5 morning show, and we are recapping for you what officials just said at the Surfside building collapse site, their update, what they have kind of in store and planned, and wanted to talk to you about that. So that just happened within the last hour at 10 o'clock, and the officials included the Miami-Dade mayor, Levine Cava, along with the Surfside mayor, and fire rescue personnel as they've been holding these every day. The big headline right off the bat is, and I want you to get involved too if you have questions you'd like to ask, as much as we can answer them with the information that we had about the Surfside building collapse. We'd be happy to do that. And glad you're joining us on the WPTV Facebook page. So let me give you the update that we have. 4 additional bodies have been recovered by search and rescue teams. And that brings the death toll in that Champlain Tower South collapse up to 32. So 4 new additional bodies have been recovered. 32 people in all have been confirmed dead. There are 113 potentially still missing people unaccounted for. So again, the numbers: 4 additional bodies recovered, 32 deaths now confirmed, 13 potentially missing people. Let me see if I can just bring up the comments right here to kind of talk with you guys. Gotcha, Eve. We actually did do that. Eve Jacobs asking why are we doing an interpretation of it? Why don't you just broadcast the news conference? We did that live. So just kind of recapping for you. And if anybody had any questions, we'd like to help you out. The mayor of Surfside, something interesting that he said is now we're having to deal with the wind and the rain, the impact in that part of Florida, as you're going to see in this video, as 5 million pounds of debris has been removed. They're dealing with Tropical Storm Elsa. And you can see the wind, right, picking up right there as that video will kind of continue to play, the wind and the rain. But the mayor of Surfside, Charles Burkett, he said that it's really hampering the large cranes right now, which brings yet another danger into this scenario of searching through that rubble to identify victims, to find any potential shred of hope of any survivors. One thing that the mayor of Miami-Dade County did mention is the National Weather Service is now embedded with those search and rescue teams, so they can make sure that if things really get bad, they're the ones that give the input of, hey, here's what's coming as well, as far as weather goes, to get those rescue workers out of another potentially dangerous situation. So I thought that was very interesting out of this. And, just some other notes as, again, that's the video you're taking a look at of the wind whipping through. You can kind of see it picking up there in that part of Miami-Dade County and Surfside. It is right along the ocean as well. So let me just kind of get to some comments real quick as we'll move this along, and I'll give you some more information if you did miss that news conference that we carried live. What do you do when they can't find the unaccounted for? Well, Robin, good question. They're probably going to, they're not at that point yet. They are in the mode of finding every person and accounting for them. The wording has kind of changed over the past couple of days, because it's just progressed like that. The number that they've given is 113 potentially missing, and there are some that they still haven't accounted for, such as they don't know if they were in the building or not. One big boost, though, and I know our web producers have this video as well. One big boost, I don't want to say big boost is a positive thing, but the demolition that happened Sunday night, that is so, and you're seeing video of it right there. So that is so rescue crews could get to additional parts of the rubble. It opened up other places, and there was also the concern that the remaining structure would collapse on top of rescue crews as well. Again, that's not the initial collapse. That's the demolition Sunday. And if you're just joining us, the headline out of the news conference today is 4 more additional bodies were recovered, and that brings the death total now up to 32. Moving forward with this, dealing with Tropical Storm Elsa, I want to try to answer your questions as good as possible. Um, yeah, I mean, Sarah Lynn Glazer, there was an Israeli search and rescue team member that said, hey, when there is demolition, there's likely no, it's a, how can I say this, recovery mission rather than search for survivors type mission. While it's highly unlikely that, they're finding people alive, they're still going in with some sort of hope that, there might be a miracle. And that's, the terms they're using in these news conferences. And Andy Michael, actually, good point. You brought up extra measures to enforce building codes. The mayor, Mayor Levine Cava, out of Miami-Dade County, she did say that they will be making policy changes to ensure something like this will never happen again. Not clear how long that would take. Through the state level, through the county level to the state level. But I can guarantee you, being down there a couple of days, I was down there last Friday reporting, and also prior to that, Friday and the week prior to that. And that's a question I asked the Surfside mayor is when are you going to find out potentially what happened here from at least the lowest level of government? And at that point, he was saying today's not the day, but it appears that they're starting to look through the records and just kind of peel back every layer. So policy changes, yeah, I would be willing to bet that there's going to be something like that happening. Let's see. All right. What about the tenants in the other tower? They did talk about that. They're taking a deep dive into Champlain North. Nobody's in that building right now. And it's not clear, at least not in this latest update, what happened. Again, if you're just joining us, you can comment. We'll try to answer your questions as best as possible. We did carry the news conference live at 10 o'clock, giving the latest update on Surfside. Being down there a couple of days, just trying to provide a little insight. The video you're taking a look at right there is the wind whipping up from Tropical Storm Elsa at that site. The National Weather Service is embedded with these search and rescue teams, and they are providing the best they can information to keep these rescue workers safe. Now you see the crane being used right there, right? So and the heavy machinery. The Surfside mayor said specifically this wind, which you really see right there, is playing havoc right now with the cranes. And at some point they're either going to have to move those back or get the workers out of there. And they haven't really said what that threshold point was in this specific news conference. So Chris, let me answer your question as best as possible. Chris Kerman, county number has to be off for 55 apartments, 1 and 2 bedrooms. A lot of the residents lived alone. The numbers they're showing are over 300 between. There's never been a number of 300. There right now is 32 deaths and 113 potentially unaccounted for. There are people that they haven't. 113 are potentially missing, possibly in this rubble. The others they're talking about, they haven't accounted for. Like they don't know if they were inside or not. They're still trying to piece those pieces together. If that's the best I can answer that question, as you continue to look at video from the rescue site today. What about the stairwells, John? I mean, right now they have it marked off where potentially some master bedrooms were, where people they have sections, and that's kind of a search and rescue type question. So I'm not sure how to answer that one directly. And Gabriella Mar, they are making an effort to look for animals, look for pets. I know they have been doing that since day one. So let's see. Again, I'm just kind of looking to the comment section and seeing if I could answer any of your questions here in our Facebook StreamYard. And I will also just kind of give you a recap of what we the latest. And when you get down there, it has to be the biggest, largest media event covering this. I mean, from all over the world, media has converged to give the latest to the people, and also hold some public officials accountable as well, asking the tough questions, asking when we're going to get some answers as to how this could have happened. Out of the information that I have specifically from this news conference, rescuers hoped out of that demolition that they really get a key picture of the voids that are in that rubble to possibly search for anyone still trapped. They found very few voids. No one had it goes without saying, no one has been rescued alive since the first hours after the collapse. Now, when it first happened, there was a rescue or two, but rescuers are still holding out hope of reuniting loved ones. And, the weather is the big story today as well. Thunderstorms actually caused and lightning forced crews to briefly pause the search and rescue operation overnight, Monday into this morning. They've since resumed. And if there's any more questions, let me, Cookie, I tell you what, that is, they are doing some tough work right now. And how many people, Wendy, trying to remember all the facts right now. How many people are found alive? Well, the boy was found right after it happened. There was reports of people being, at least one other lady being carried out, but it's a tough situation right now. And I don't know exactly that answer. Just getting the updated information right now. So just thank you all for when they collapsed the building, are they now able to get in the garage area? That's a good question because, there was some concerns about the garage. They didn't specifically address that during this news conference. So I think with that, we're going to keep giving these updates, but the conditions are going to worsen there. So that's what we're really taking a look at today. I appreciate everyone. Let me make sure I didn't miss. Let me make sure I didn't miss any questions for you. We have our camera Leppinger down there daily. We're also let me just see something here. So back to the top, and all right, well, if that's it, if anyone else had any other questions, when standards are revised post-Andrew, this situation should have been examined. Well, here's what we know. In the building, John, was built in 1981, and Broward and Miami-Dade counties have a 40-year recertification process. This 40 years. So they would have been, they're looking into how far that inspection process was along. I do know that the city of West Palm Beach, city of Boca Raton here locally, because I don't think that has been happening here locally. Those cities are trying to get things on the books to make sure that type of recertification process can happen at condos and buildings here in Palm Beach County. And then, to the Treasure Coast, haven't really examined that too much quite yet. Funding for any of the victims or resources that they need, therapy for the rescuers. Funding for the victims, there is state help available right now, and I believe federal help is on the way. FEMA has asked for more federal resources to be allocated to the victims, along with search and rescue efforts. But I do know that the governor specifically gave a number Thursday, I should say, when I was there, about how many people had enrolled in state assistance. Rosanna, good is the guy that approved the building still around? Well, it's kind of much more than one person, but I understand what you're saying, and those people are being asked some tough questions. And who was there during that time. I don't know those names specifically offhand, but we're asking those questions as well. So let me just recap before we get out of town. Keep in mind, we're live on air right now. with our Holly Davis and Chris Gilmore. And tomorrow morning, by the way, speaking of the morning show, we start a half hour early. So we'll be on at 4 a.m. as we do expect, just a weather note, the conditions to get a little more rainier or windier here around our area, if we're going to see anything with the rain from Tropical Storm Elsa. So we start at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. But let me just recap here before we get out of here. And, okay. 4 additional bodies recovered overnight. The death count now stands at 32 in the Surfside building collapse. 113 people are potentially still missing. The mayor of Surfside said because of Tropical Storm Elsa, the wind is really hampering large cranes right now. And you can see that in this video right here. There is more rubble there as Sunday they demolished the remaining structure of the collapsed building, which hoped to give rescuers more pockets to try to find survivors. So far, no survivors have been found since the early hours of the collapse. Okay, and sorry. That's our update right now. We're waiting to hear information about funerals of those lost. We're waiting to hear more information as to, hey, when did we get to the bottom of exactly how this happened? And waiting to see how the weather is really going to play out with these search and rescue teams. So there will be another news conference likely today. If not, if the weather is too bad, all the information is going to be on WPTV.com, your free WPTV News app, this Facebook page, as soon as we can get it to you. And don't forget, On Air, we're starting again at 4 p.m. today and then going through for our evening newscast. And tomorrow morning, we start a half hour early. I would just like to thank everybody for joining in, commenting, and I hope I got to all your questions. We do all these articles on WPTV.com, where you can check them out as well and get the information updated as I just brought it to you. And we hope you tune in to us live on air. Everyone have a great day.